everyone, I'm Caro. I am back. I decided to start a podcast so that we can connect in a different way. I think this way maybe it can be a little bit easier and we can talk about so many other things that I'm interested in. I want to share about life. I want to share about motherhood. I want to share about my journey trying to conceive. I want to try talk about sports because I love sports. I want to laugh with memes. I want to just share. That is what I like to do. I went to school for communications, and I mean, this is the time to connect through all these platforms that we have. And I thought, why not? So I hope you can join me in this new adventure. Hi again. I am Caro, and as you can tell, I'm wearing headphones because this is a new adventure. I decided to do a podcast and try new things. Now, this is new. This is my very first, and since I am nobody and I don't have special important guests, today I'm inviting my husband so that he can help me out, loosen up in this first episode with me. I call myself the venting chick, and I do want to explain a little bit about that. It's because my first language is Spanish, and we have a saying in Spanish, like, the chicks, they like beep, 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 and they make so much noise. And I think that is a little bit of me, like just like beep, 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 just venting. So I want to vent. And this podcast is to vent about life, to vent about motherhood, to vent, to just talk, share, judge, like I said, and, stories. I'm not necessarily going to talk about all the time about very feminine topics all the time because I'm a really huge sports fan. And I'm not saying that it's not a feminine topic, but in general, if you say like a podcast of motherhood, you're not thinking you're going to talk about that unless you're talking about your kids' sports situation. Well, anyways, I like to talk about sports and I like memes. I like to laugh and I just like to share. So, but today I'm having my husband. So let's see how this thing flows.
Yeah,
today.
well, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, well,
it's an honor and it's a pleasure.
Yes, well, you're the first one. We'll see who's next.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about, like, I know you kind of gave a brief background of what it is that you're wanting to do, but you had told me behind the scenes, a little sneak peek, that what you were wanting to do also is kind of have it more of an encouragement, not just venting, but also just an encouragement channel of inspiration as well.
Yeah, well, let's just loosen up a little bit. It's always whenever you start something that you haven't done before, you're kind of stiff. So let's loosen up. Yes, let's just not just vent, but try to give solution. I guess sometimes since you already know how old I am, if you have seen my videos, we cannot hide that. Over 40. Let's keep it that way for now. So you have lived your life and you have some of experience, I would say. So a little bit of experience in life. You have learned some stuff, and sometimes you feel that you want to share, that you want to spare other people of the things that you mess up with, and maybe other mothers to, give them advice, and other people share some books. I like books. I like to read too. So some books that have, made an impact in my life. So yeah, it's just, let's just talk. Let's share life experiences and the good things that you have reap from.
Yeah, the good things that you've reaped from the things that you've sown. Yeah.
So, but let's start with the easy and basic. If you have followed me or watched my videos on my YouTube channel, you know that I started all these with my journey trying to conceive. In that journey, you were invited. So how was that? As a woman, it is very frustrating month to month. And I was actually thinking about that last night. All these videos that I've seen of women, editing, like how many times they check the pregnancy test and it was negative until they finally got their positive. And then I was just thinking, to watch this video of 30 seconds of this woman just over and over looking at this pregnancy test being negative, it means that was 6, 7, 1 year worth of recording to get that 30-second video, or even less. So it's 1 year of broken heart. How is a journey trying to conceive for a guy whenever it's not successful right away?
I don't know. I think culturally it depends a lot on that and how involved the guy is emotionally, how they can just relate emotionally. I know that for me and you, so we had our first miscarriage. And so that really made me not want to get involved emotionally from after that point on. And so just because always in the back of my mind, I was just thinking, okay, well, we had this first miscarriage and I was just kind of holding my breath the whole time whenever we got pregnant again. And I was just thinking, I don't want another miscarriage. And so I think it was just my way, unfortunately, of just trying to protect myself from another miscarriage is by putting up some walls and putting up some just emotional walls, unfortunately. And obviously that wasn't something that was beneficial for you, because in that time you needed emotional support and you needed your husband to be there for you. And I wasn't everything that I should have and could have been for you. And so I think a lot of it just depends on the different circumstances. Like if you haven't had a miscarriage before, then you could be, really excited about it. I mean, I am excited, but I also at the same time, I feel like I'm a typical guy where I don't wear a lot of my emotions on my sleeve. And so it's really difficult for me to draw out my emotions. But for the most part, I feel like...
It's okay. So let me ask you now. I was reading through the comments because I search for, when you're trying to conceive, you search for everyone's successful stories because that is what you want. And then I was reading yesterday a comment on someone else's video of this woman that was trying to ask this doctor to please say something in his videos that the guys need to be involved as well. Sometimes, and this is something very, I don't know, cultural maybe. If you get pregnant, then they praise the guy. Oh, you knock her up so good, you're so good. And then, but if she miscarriages, then it's the woman, And if we having an issue getting pregnant, then the woman is the one having all the tests getting done, and sometimes the guys do not want to be involved that much. Now, since I have you and you're a guy and we're interviewing each other, then why, whenever there is, and a short answer please, what is it that whenever you're trying to conceive, how do we kind of get you guys more involved in all the testing, going to the doctor, getting involved maybe in a diet or taking vitamins, so that we don't feel that this is all on us, and then every time we get a negative pregnancy test, it's on our shoulder, thinking we did everything, but maybe we want something else from you guys, but you guys are not doing. So how can we get you guys involved so that you jump into the vitamin testing and all that stuff that we are doing, but you guys are not?
Maybe there's some vitamins that the guys can take as well and make it a routine.
How can we get you guys to take those vitamins?
Just do it at the same time. If you have a morning routine where you're both up together, just take them at the same time. Or in the evening, if you're doing it at dinner, just do it at the same time.
So pretty much basic idea, like you would do it for your dog. You just put it in the food and to your husband, because nothing that spectacular was said. Anyways, then the other thing, what about the testing? Then get the sperm getting tested and stuff like that a little bit more.
You're basically, how can we get excited and...
Yeah, and go to all the doctor's appointments and get, your blood work done as well, getting poked and all these things that we go through whenever we are so excited about this journey.
That's a great question. I mean, I really have no idea.
Because let me tell you guys, for me it was kind of hard.
That's a terrible answer, but it's like...
I know, because for me it was, I tried and he never took those tests. Exactly. So, and I was the one taking the vitamins and he was not. So we want to know, how can we get you guys to take those vitamins and, get those tests?
Well, I don't think that if you would have presented it to me like, hey, okay, probably, I'm going to sound like probably the most typical guy, but
imagine that.
So generally, it's the woman who wants the baby, right? And the guy's like, yeah, kids sound great, but the woman is the one who's doing all the research. She's the one who's being like, yeah, I've got to take this test. I've got to get my hormones level this. I've got to take all these vitamins. And then in the back of her mind, she's like, okay, so maybe I'm not the problem, but maybe also my husband is too. So maybe what you can do is make it as easy for the husband as possible to kind of follow along. Be like, okay, I read these are the vitamins that you need, and these are the vitamins that you need these days. I've already separated them for you. I'm putting them right by your coffee every single morning. Like, I know that kind of sounds... I know that sounds kind of, I don't know what the word is, but like you're just chasing your husbands down. But I think that's kind of the case for most husbands.
Well then, yeah. Thank you so much for your answer.
No problem. I hope this wisdom that I'm spreading is very helpful for all the women out there who are having to chase their husbands down.
Trying to conceive. So, yes. So that was our situation. I know I read that yesterday, and I thought, well,
but did you give me vitamins that I needed to take?
Like, I don't remember.
I don't think that you suggested any vitamins. You were just telling me that you wanted me to go give my sperm samples.
And he didn't do it.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of weird.
Well, you didn't think it was weird to give it to me. So
sperm.
Anyways.
Depository.
So that thing that I read. But other than that,
well,
seriously.
Do you have like any suggestions? Did you read anything like for women to help encourage their husbands to get on board?
I did not. I mean, I'm asking you this to see. Like, I feel that is something. I think that this journey is very lonely. And when I mean lonely, it's lonely, just a woman. Even though you have a partner and you're doing your stuff, it is that grief, that disappointment. Sometimes it's a lot more for us to live and suffer alone, and we would need a little bit more of that. I would say I wanted that, a little bit more of that support, and I'm guessing you guys are too. Maybe you can leave a comment and let me know how was your process, how, if your husband, your partner, your other half was there for you, and if that was the case, then what did he do? So maybe that way we can give ideas. Sometimes when we're going through that, like my husband just said, well, give me ideas. You don't have any ideas. You don't have any suggestions. So maybe if you give any suggestions, then we can, spread them and see if they work with someone else's partners. But anyway, so let's continue. So yeah, so that was part of our journey. Then we did have the miscarriage, and then we finally got pregnant, and we had our baby. And I would say one of the other things of these journeys that for us, it was roughly around maybe 2 years, and just reading about someone else's, other women journey, it seems so short, but it really feels so long. I've read women trying to conceive for 10, 15 years, and I cannot imagine how that feels. Like, I mean, I can imagine, but I cannot imagine for that long, having that disappointment every month for so long, or having miscarriages when you get your hopes so high and then you bleed so much and you lose your baby. So, I mean, I know it is very lonely.
So, going back to the husbands, like getting back on board, do you have like any books that husbands can read for, husbands that are readers, like something just to kind of help them understand what the women are going through and how lonely it can feel?
I think it is actually a good suggestion. I think they should be reading the same books that we are reading, maybe of the pregnancy itself, or in my case, I would like to say that we are pregnant. I have seen other women and actresses like getting kind of mad because they're saying we are not pregnant, I am pregnant. And yes, that is the case, but I like to say that we are pregnant so that it's not such a lonely thing. I'm not the only one, with a round belly. I always say that I wish when a couple get pregnant, we get the belly and you get the boobs, so that everyone knows that you are pregnant as well, that is your baby, that you are conceiving, that you conceived something. I think that should be the fair thing. Something, so that everyone will know. But no, it's just us. But yes, if you read the books, if guys will read the books, then they know what she's going through. And then you guys can get excited about the size of the baby and know what she's going through, because there are so many changes. We cannot sleep through the night, and then all the peeing, and then maybe suggesting a recipe that the book might be suggesting. Because in my case, there's so much information to read that one person cannot, devour so many books. Maybe if we do that together, you're reading about when the baby comes, like baby routines, and we focus on the pregnancy itself. Then once the pregnancy is over, you're ready to help take over with the baby. The newborns, this is supposed to be the routine. This is how you swaddle. This is how you feed them. This is how you react if they get sick. And then you're not the only one with the knowledge.
Yeah. So everything that you're saying, yeah, I do sympathize with it, and I do think that it is important for men to understand and have some type of knowledge, so that it's not just all weighing on the women's shoulder and whatnot. But also men too, majority of men, I feel like they have a different responsibility than women do. Well, at least in our case. Like for me, I was just completely thinking of, okay, now how am I going to support this new member of our family? Because we basically knew that you were not going to go back to work full time, at the most part time. And so now I had this new burden basically to figure out how it was that I was going to provide financially. So that in itself really consumed a lot of my emotional time, mental time, and just trying to figure out like a game plan of like how that was truly going to work.
So for whoever is listening, then maybe this is something that should be discussed, so that everything feels,
so that everyone's on the same page, basically.
Correct. So maybe that is the advice. Just talk about the financial situation, talk about the changes in our bodies, talk about the newborn, and kind of make it all a family matter.
Yeah, I think that's some pretty good advice.
A family matter. So,
I mean, it wasn't like we just were like, okay, yeah, we're going to have a baby and we don't have anything put in plan. And I mean, we knew that was like our plan going forward, but it didn't really hit reality until after the baby was there, or like getting close to delivery. Because then it's like, oh, okay, it doesn't seem like the miscarriage is happening, that like that window's already gone. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's just like, okay, it's getting even more and more real. So it's just kind of like those plans that you talk about are actually starting to basically have to take place. They have to work, and there's like no going back.
Correct. Yeah, you're having a baby. So yeah, then to close this episode today, the one thing that I tell everyone that is about to have a baby is that the first 3 months you're in a survival mode. Am I right?
Yeah.
And that you really, even though you read and you plan, it's nothing as you expect. It's really, really hard. Everyone tells you, and I actually saw this on TV, some comedian just talking about that, how whenever you get pregnant, and it is true, it's like, oh yeah, congratulations, welcome to the club, blah blah blah, amazing, this is gonna be wonderful, and you're so excited, you're like, oh, thank you so much, blah blah blah, and then you have the baby and they're like, surprise, it's terrible, you're not gonna sleep, and you're like, why didn't you tell me this? You're just like so excited telling me that this is gonna be wonderful, when you, the first month is like, you don't even know where you are, how you live, what you're going to eat, when you're going to take a bath, anything. So, yes, I do tell everyone the first months are really, really hard. Having a baby is hard. And it is okay to say that it is hard, right?
Yeah, I think so. Well, let me ask you this. So, obviously, you really can't compare with you. This is your first baby as a woman over 40, but do you think that you are viewed differently for being a first-time mom over 40? Or like, is there any other different struggles than, let's say, for example, my sister Caitlin, whenever she had Willow, whenever she was in her early 20s. So what would be the different struggles, or I don't know, negative connotations or positive connotations?
I think so. I think that people do think it's different, and I am sure. I mean, I didn't have babies in my 20s, so I wouldn't be able to compare myself. That would be to invite a 20-year-old that just had a baby and see if we do a comparison of our experience and see what is different, how the age is affecting our specific experiences with the baby. But I think that having a baby is difficult for whoever is trying to be a good parent, regardless the age.
Yeah.
So I do think it's the same. I'm very sure there are some other things that are different because of the age gap or difference, but I think that will be something we should discuss in another episode. How about that?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, well, thank you for listening. This is our first shot. We'll try another time and see what comes to our mind. It might not be about motherhood. It might be about something else, but we can continue this topic and we can flow with it. Thank you again for listening. I go to my YouTube channel and watch my videos. I just recently opened my Instagram account to see if we can connect a little bit more. I'm working on that. Bear with me. And a huge thank you for going all this way with me, listening to the last minute of this podcast. Bye-bye.